Hey everyone, my name is Catherine. For my 100-day project, I've been working on improving my makeup skills, and so I've been doing my makeup in a different way every day, which I plan to do for 100 days. Currently, I'm on day 7, I think, so I have a significant amount of time left. But I've been hearing from some of the folks on my social channels that it would be nice to have a makeup look for Zoom, given the fact that we're in the middle of coronavirus. And I thought that today I would start with a blank slate and show you the products that I use and a really quick and simple makeup look for Zoom calls. So this is my unmade up face to go from this to something fabulous. So let's go ahead and get started. So the first step is in my makeup routine is that I like to put on just a small amount of moisturizer. I use this Purlisse Blue Lotus because it's really light and fresh. Even if you're staying inside most of the time, it's important to have an SPF because your skin is valuable and you don't want to end up with wrinkles and funk. So let's just apply a little bit of the moisturizer, just less than a dime size because you don't want it to get really greasy. So step 1's complete. We are moisturized and ready to get started. Okay, step 2, we're going to do our skin. We're going to start with foundation and with a little bit of blush and highlighter. It's really easy, I promise it won't be difficult. I like to choose the BB cream from Purlisse. This is the brand that comes in the Ipsy boxes a lot, and I love it because it's really light. I'm 35. Ooh, it's a scary age. But I'm starting to get little wrinkles, and when I use the really heavy foundation, I find that the foundation settles in the wrinkles. So I don't really want anything that's super, super thick. And although I do have some acneic bits, which we'll address in a minute, heavy foundation really doesn't make much sense. So I just put a little bit on my hand like this, and then I have this brush. It's a multitasker complexion brush from Sephora. And it's got this nice little kind of rounded edge on it. And I just take this and plop it right like this, boop, into the foundation. And then I'm going to start from the center of my face and work outwards. So I usually like to just kind of blot onto my cheeks and then start working it into my skin. So using kind of like a circular motion is really helpful. I also kind of like to prime my eyelids. Like maybe you won't see beauty gurus on the internet doing that, but I find that it helps the eye makeup to stay on more. So, you know, professional makeup artists, don't judge me, but I don't go over my eyebrows. I just go on my eyelids and kind of brush it in. And so I'm doing a technique, I'm doing this kind of like stippling and then blending, right? So pat, 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 blend it in. Pat, 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 trying to address those areas of redness, right? And this foundation, honestly, is probably a little too light for my skin. So I'm going to try to correct it with a little bit of bronzer here in a moment. So let's get this all blended in. Okay. And just like take your time. We're not in a big rush, right? We don't want streaks. We don't want uneven coverage. So if you see a little bit that you need to revisit, you can always come back and do that. Okay, so here's our first layer of foundation. All right, next, let's talk about red spots, because if you haven't noticed, I've got some pimples and imperfections, and the red spots require some correction. So what I do for that is I use this Naked Skin Urban Decay color corrector. It's, again, not very heavy or comedogenic, so it won't cause a lot of acne, but I just dab a touch onto those little funky spots that look a little red, and I think I have some rosacea coming in along the sides here. So I'll just dab a little bit, kind of streak it along, you know, streak it along the sides. And then there are 2 options that you can use for brushes on this. I really love this flat tipped brush from Goodnight. I got this in an Ipsy bag too. So the cool thing is that this just blends right in if you stipple. Again, so we're kind of pushing like this as opposed to blending. So we're kind of stippling. So just blending that in. You'll see it a little bit, but I'm going to come back in with my foundation brush here in just a moment to fix that up. So again, just kind of addressing any little red spots that we see. Those might be acneic or just some inflammation. It's not super attractive. So, okay, that's a good start. And then to work it in underneath the foundation, I'm just picking up my foundation brush again and then just in a circular motion kind of blending that in. You'll see you could really see the green before, but now the cool thing is that you just don't see the red, and that's the goal here for me. So again, I'm kind of getting nice under my chin. I've got some spots there that I'd like to cover. Right, I think we're looking pretty good so far on foundation. Right, so remember how I told you that this color looks a little bit light on my skin right now? You can see that my chest is a little bit darker because I've been spending just a touch of time out in the sun. And this is kind of like my winter shade, so I need to do a little bit of correcting because I don't really want to spend a lot of money to buy some new foundation right now. So I've got this Hoola by Benefit. It's a little bronzer. And I just take a really big fluffy brush, like the biggest, fluffiest brush you can find, because you don't want to load it onto your face. And I just gently swirl it into the bronzer. And then I'm coming in like a W motion up on my nose and across my cheekbones so that I can really hit the most important parts to color correct. And don't load up the brush a whole lot, like a really light touch here is important. And then I'm just gonna do my whole face. Again, kind of like you're using a feather duster. Just really light, really gentle. You can kind of go in a circular motion, pressing hardly at all. And you can see what a big difference that made. Now my face looks like my chest a little bit more. This light's a little bright, so it doesn't exactly match. But in real life, it's a lot closer. So kind of focusing on those cheeks, but starting with this W motion, and that'll get your coverage where you really need it the most. So the skin's starting to look a little bit better. What we're going to tackle next is a little bit of blush. So I feel like I've got the tone of my skincare taken care of, but what I want to do is make my cheeks pop a little bit. So I've got this Betty Boop blush palette. It's great because it's got two kind of shimmery shades and then this darker mauve color, which are all really, really nice. So I start with the lightest shade here, and I have the Mint Pear Rounded Soft Blend brush. This came again in my Ipsy bag because I rely on Ipsy for everything. So I'm just taking this, and again, just like what we did with the bronzer, really, really, really light touch on this. And I'm starting at the part of my cheekbone that's the closest to my nose, and then just doing kind of like a little patch with the light pink. So if you are a little bit darker complected, you might be able to start with the middle color on this instead of with the peach. But I like this really iridescent bright pink for the innermost parts of the makeup. And then again, with the tip of this, I love it because it's kind of tapered. So I'm going to do my highlights with this as well. So this is kind of like the highlighter. I don't do like a full contour or anything, but just a couple pieces in the middle of the face. So I'm going to just dab on the tip of my nose here because that makes you look really young and fresh and adorable. And then just a really light touch again, right up here in between the eyebrows. And then just a little bit as we go down the nose. We're going to be very conscientious about blending this because we don't want to look like super, super shiny, but it gives us just a little bit more glow and freshness. And then of course, you just kind of dab on your chin, chin, just a little touch. Again, real light and careful application of this is important. Otherwise you kind of end up looking like a strawberry or something, right? So, okay, great. And now we're on to the next. So I just work my way from lightness all the way down to the darker shades, working inward and then out. So the lightest is here and then middle and then dark. So again, real light touch, just grabbing a small amount of that. And I can see where this iridescent piece kind of left off. And I'm just going to add a little bit more of this nice kind of middle color here. Okay. There we go. And then finally, just a little dab of the darker. I like to do it just right on the outside of my cheekbone. You can see, gosh, that was a really quick color acceleration. So then we just gently brush it all together because we want that nice pretty pink to be easy to see. So I love blush, and I kind of like a heavier blush look. That's just generally my preference. So if you like something that's a little bit lighter, you could probably just stick with this light pink, especially for the summertime. Maybe I won't do such a pronounced look the next time I get ready to do this. One more quick tip, we're gonna bring the bronzer back out real fast with this same tapered brush and just dab the tip into just the very, very tip and very lightly picking up some pigment. And then I'm going to come down either side of my nose, again, very, very lightly, because I don't want it to come out like super, super pronounced. And then we're blending that in just because then your nose looks like a little bit sharper and slimmer. You can see that already made a really big difference. Kind of blotting that, dabbing at it to get that color deposited. And then just a tiny little touch right underneath your cheekbone. So this is like, I guess this is technically contouring. And I also like to kind of come underneath my chin because then it looks like my jawline is super, super sharp. I want to be a slender lady here. So just a small amount of shadow. Like a lot of people really, really go crazy with the contouring, but you're just getting ready for work. So to heck with that noise. All right. Okay, so I feel really confident with the way that my skin and my blush looks. If you don't do anything else in your makeup routine, like you could stop here, this would be fine, but I would recommend highly that your eyebrows make your whole face pop. I didn't do anything with my eyebrows for like my entire 20s and I sincerely regret it because I think I could probably have looked a lot fancier. So again, I got this in the Ipsy bag. This is called Wander. It's a very small eyebrow pencil. You can see it's really, really fine. So I'm going to just go over kind of how I would approach my eyebrows. Step one, so on the other side of these pencils, there's a little brush and I just come in and gently brush inward to outward just to get the hairs oriented in the proper direction. I don't tweeze my eyebrows because I think mine are in a beautiful state as they are. And that big full eyebrow look is kind of in right now anyway, so let's just work with what we're given. And then so I'm still kind of practicing learning my eyebrows. And so what I do is I start in the middle and come up right to, if you draw, if you hold this up straight, like this is where your eyebrow should start, right? Mine is a little bit shallow right here. So I will come out just a touch and I'm kind of drawing that square line, that real sharp line that you see in a lot of makeup ads. But again, a very light touch with this because you see how little it is. Sorry. So it helps you really kind of make it look like it's individually defined hairs, which I think is really nice. And I use the color that's designated for blondes or light brunettes. Now, so I'm just following my normal eyebrow line. And when I get to this arch that's kind of right here, you can see how it kind of changes direction. Whoop. I am just going to follow that along. But on my eyebrow, it's a little bit, like I feel like it doesn't come out far enough. So I'm going to draw just a touch of extra eyebrow. I just outline and kind of fill it in. I don't do super, super heavy eyebrows. Okay, so you can see already there's a really big difference. It just looks more pronounced, it looks more defined, and it looks more professional. So if I'm honest with you, I think you can probably get away with a really great Zoom makeup look if you just do your skin and you do your eyebrows. I'm just going to do the one side and then I'll show you the product that I love to use to set my eyebrows in place. It's this clear brow gel from Anastasia. So this comes with just a little applicator. And just like we brushed our eyebrows in the initial part of this project, we're just brushing from the inside part of our eye and kind of grabbing those hairs and pushing up and out. And you see how it helps my eyebrow retain its shape so much more beautifully. So much more defined. Again, not that like real made up look, but you can just see my eyebrow now, which is really nice. So I'm gonna do the other side and then we'll check back in. Okay, great. So now we have eyebrows ready to rock and roll. I'm feeling very confident. Well, I guess this one's a little bit sharp. Okay, anyway, we're looking better. So the next step was we're going to go ahead and hit up our eyeshadow. So when you're on a virtual call, you don't want anything that looks super, super dramatic or bright. So today we're going to do a 4-shade approach using different types of pink because it's springtime and we like flowers and stuff like that. So I'm going to show you a diagram of an eye and we'll talk about the different parts of where we put the makeup. Here's our diagram of an eye. I'm an excellent artist, as you can see. Okay, so when we use 4 shades, it's a very basic makeup approach. And maybe if I can pull off the cap to my, there we go. Okay, so what we're going to do is, there are 4 regions that we're really concerned with. And this is like the inside part of your eye. This is your eye, your beautiful eyebrow, right? So highlighter, which is the lightest shade, is going to go in here near the corner of your eye, and then also kind of up here near the eyebrow. So we're going to put a little bit of highlighter here just to make that eyebrow bit pop, and then inside your eye so that it looks like it has more depth. So here, again, this is where the lightest color goes. So that's shade number 1. Then shade number 2 is going to go here, right on the eyelid. Okay, so this is number 1. This is number 1. So 1 is the lightest, okay? The second is going right here on your eyelid. The third is going in the crease. So it's kind of gonna go up here. We're gonna blend all this stuff together. So this is really where 3 is gonna be. And then finally, all the way over here, this isn't the best diagram, but just go with it. So, okay, you'll see the difference. So here is gonna be number 4. So the lightest is on the inside of your eye and on the top. The next lightest is on the lid. The third lightest is in the crease. And then the fourth lightest is just a little dab here on the edge. Right, so we're ready to start our eye. Today I'm using the Stripped Collection Pure Cosmetics. This is a really fun, shiny little palette that I got for Christmas, and I'm excited to use it today. So the colors that we're going to use from this selection are Moon Dance, all the way here on the left. Then we're going to use Dawn, Sunset, and finally Eclipse. So you can see it's kind of like a pink and purple tone. I'm also actually going to use the brush that came with the cosmetic set for most of this, but I'll show you if I switch to another brush. But before we get started, I do have one extra little fun tip for you. So in order, like a lot of times when you do your makeup, it'll end up getting creased up on the top, or it'll kind of, it'll fade over the day. And what I found a great way to deal with that is to use some matte finish. So this is $4 a bottle. It's from NYX. And it's a setting spray. Most of the time you put this on after you're all done. But what I like to do is I spray it on my brush. And it's kind of like hairspray, like it's a tiny bit sticky. So it grabs the pigment and then deposits it for the full day. So I have here, this is the blending side of the brush. This is the fluffy side. And I'm taking the fluffy side and it's going into Moon Dance. And so I'm going to hit the corner of my eye there. And I'm going to do a light coat along the entire surface of my lid, really kind of focusing up underneath the eyebrow because that's where we really want to pop. And we will revisit this at the end just to make sure that we didn't lose any of the highlight that we really want. So this is, again, this is the lightest shade, Moon Dance. It's kind of like a champagne pink. And you can see my brush is just a little bit damp. So you don't want to soak this in the setting spray, but you want it to be, you want like a fair amount, okay? And don't be afraid, like if you get a little bit too intense with the pigment right here in your eye, we can come back and blend that in later. So again, just right underneath the eyebrow, and like not super heavy, be judicious with this. And then on the inside corner, and then just generally the rest of the lid. This is kind of like our foundation or our base that we're going to build on. All right, so I'm done with both eyes and I'm just adding a little touch more to the bottom lid here because I want that to really be iridescent and beautiful. Okay, so we've completed step 1 of our 4-step eyebrow process. The next one, we're going here to Dawn, which is kind of like a light mauve. And this is the color that we're going to apply just to our lids. So I'm not going to like rinse out my brush or anything. I'm just going to use the same one. And it should still be like a touch damp. So the great thing if you use the setting spray in this fashion is that you don't end up with fallout, which is like those gunky little bits that end up on the bottom of your lid. So I'm just taking, again, the fluffy side of the brush very lightly into the eyeshadow. And it's okay if it's like a little bit messy at this point because we're not really concerned with perfection right at the moment. So I'm wanting to just make sure I deposit it along my lid. And then if I do get a little bit of fallout, then I'll just kind of brush that away with my finger. But the goal of the setting spray is to keep the fallout from occurring. So if at any point during this process you need to refresh the setting spray on your brush, just spray some more on. Not a problem. Okay, so we see that the first color, that looks pretty intense. I think it's a good color. It's not too dark. So that's pretty conservative. And okay, so what we want to do now is we have two sides of our brush, right? We have after those first and then we have eyeshadow tapered blending side. It's probably just so, and this is a new brush, so I'm going to continue, or you can stop at any point by pushing on this. And then what I want to do is blend these two colors together beautifully. So this is the so starting from the inside of my eye, I'm just kind of drawing it outward. This is the felt tip because we don't want like defined lines. And I can do wingtips with this, or you know, wings with it, but I'm not going to today. I'm just going to outline blended, just general eyeliner. So what I like to do is, you can see it's picked up a little bit of color, but overall, again, we're just being really, really light with our touch here. When I was younger, really beautiful wings with it, and I love the Stila because it is like immovable. If you get in water, if you go swimming, I'm pretty sure Stila will stay on. I don't even know if I'm saying it right. You can still do that, but so I'm starting in the middle and I'm getting the colors because my lash line is looking like you're a professional, and you can kind of work it in steps. A 14-year-old, like just really gentle, really light. Next step, I've got the fluffy end of the brush. Just a second to kind of you can like tap it out or properly. I'm sorry, I'm looking at the mirror that's behind me. I'm just gonna live on the edge here and move on to my next color, which is Sunset. I like to go really far in. And so this is the color that's going to go in the crease. And so at any of these points, like, but again, you can do this like after step 2, it's all optional. Play around with it. We've got the highlights and we've got like the, you know, the rudimentary color on the lid. That looks fine as it is. Okay, but if you want, also I've learned to add each eyeliner on the bottom lashes, and then move on to eyeliner, which we're going to do next. So what I'm going to do to get it in the crease is just a real gentle start around my whole eye, but you know, the kids aren't doing that these days. Halfway. And then so really we'll just stick with the top lid, bringing it in for this one, and kind of swipe along the crease. Okay. And don't worry about messing up the blending as we go. They're not super expensive, and they hold their shape pretty well. I love this because it's kind of like a foam. So I'm just going to leave it like that, foam brush. But some of the other ones are kind of more like a, the heck out of it because the last more like an actual brush brush, which is kind of neat. Color starts and ends. So it just depends on what you see really why we did that highlighting. You can see because it's much more a little bit of eyelid up here along our eyebrow, my right eye here, along the inside. Gosh, my eyelashes are just so light. I love how shimmery this stuff is. By the way, it's like perfect amount of shimmer. Like. It's not pretty smooth. It's not too childish with all the glitter, although oh my gosh, give me all the glitter. It's a nice gentle light touch. But this is professional for a daytime look. You don't look like you're you know, a child playing with makeup, so that's good news. Okay, so I just did a tiny little touch of that sunset color. And again, we could definitely stop here in the process. Like this is enough. But if we want to be a little bit more dramatic, well, and okay, I should probably tell you too, I'm going to take the sunset and just do a little bit right along the bottom lash line. I kind of pull down a little bit, just a tiny bit, because I don't want to get the whole, and I'm just starting from where I began the iridescent highlight. So about 3/4 of the lid is then pigmented with the darker shade. So that would be shade number 3 and number 1 that are on our bottom lids. We don't, I mean, you can go darker, that's fine too, but I'm not going to today. Okay, and now at the end of the process, I'm going to use gonna go all the way to the end of the palette and pick out this Eclipse. And with this one, just the lightest touch. You can see I hardly have any on the brush. And I'm just going to kind of gently blot it into the very, very corner. Blot, 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 blot. Now this is probably a good time to refresh your setting spray, if you'd like, to make sure that this pigment is really thoroughly applied. So you just put a little dot. You can, like that looks like just a giant dot in my eye. But what we're going to do is take that blending. This is why the blending brush is so useful. And you just really gently blend this in. You can go a little bit into the crease there. And we're just gonna really work on this light touch and blending that in. And this just takes some practice. Like don't beat yourself up if you end up with a little bit of a line the first time you do this. And again, you can stop with that lighter shade. So, okay, that looks pretty darn blended in. All right, so we'll go ahead and do the other eye here real fast. Just again, blot, 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 just tiny little stipples. And then we're using the blending side to brush, 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 brush. Get it all smoothed in. Excellent. Well, that feels like a total eclipse of my heart. Okay, now you may notice that some of our highlight kind of got lost. Like maybe we want to make our lid pop a little bit. So I just take my finger, honestly, and just maybe apply a tiny bit right into the center of the lid to make the look a little bit more dimensional. And just, again, tiny little bit. Okay. Gosh, now it seems like we've been together forever because this has taken a little bit of time to make ourselves look absolutely gorgeous, but we're almost at the last step. So I feel really confident with the style of the eye makeup here. I think there's not too many defined lines. Everything looks pretty blended in. So next step is going to be our mascara. So this is from Thrive Cosmetics. You probably see ads for this all over Facebook. I love this stuff though because it doesn't damage my eyelashes. So I have a really bad tendency to like pick at my eyelashes if they start getting uncomfortable or like, you know, because mascara can irritate your eyes throughout the day. But I love this Thrive stuff because it comes off so easily with water. Now that obviously if you're wanting something that's more mascara, like more waterproof, then you probably wouldn't choose this product. But this helps me keep my lashes in my face instead of when I wash them, the mascara grabbing them and coming out. So I've got my wand And one trick that I learned not long ago is that if you gently coat the top of your eyelashes with the mascara, it makes your eyelashes show so much better. So I just do a single coat down, kind of swiping down and out with the mascara, and then gently, you know, just gently filling in with the mascara the rest of the way. Okay, and since I have been using the Thrive mascara, my eyelashes stay so much more lush and beautiful because they're not falling out because the mascara is like damaging them. I love this stuff. I'm pretty sure I could be a spokesperson for it. Okay. So on both sides, again, we're just kind of covering the top, and then just a real light coat, because we don't want, you know, we don't want gunky, like sticking together eyelashes. All right, maybe I'll do one. I'll do another coat. You got me. I have some false eyelashes coming in next week. I'm so excited because I love false eyelashes, but they're kind of a pain to wear out in the world. Like, I'd rather be able to take them off if I need to. So since I'm working from home all the time now, false eyelashes are on the menu. Good. Now, I feel very confident with this. I don't put mascara on my bottom lashes because they're really sparse and it kind of ends up looking silly. So I just blink really hard sometimes. A little bit of it gets deposited down there. It looks okay. So this is a pretty good look, but we're still missing lipstick. Right, so since we did kind of a more dramatic eye and eyebrow on this, I am going to keep my lip color pretty neutral. So I really love this. I got this from Sephora. It's a Lip Stories sample. The Sephora beauty collection is super affordable. I want to say each of these lipsticks maybe $8 each. And I have, gosh, I should have gotten these out before, but I kind of have just, let's see, I think, yeah, oh, there's another one. I've got a bunch of the Lip Stories because they're fun and you can play with different colors and just see what you think. I really love this black one particularly because then I get to look a little goth. But so to apply this, it comes in like a little capsule, the sample does, but I would recommend using a brush no matter when you're applying lipstick because it helps control the whole situation. So this is the Pro Lip Brush. Let's see, Pro Lip Brush number 85. So the cool thing is this fits right in your purse. It's great for on the go and you just disassemble it like so and there we go. So the lip brush, we're just going to delicately dip it in. And what color do I have here? I have number 6, tan lines. So I'm starting at the top of my lip, if in the middle, and I'm going to work my way out on either side and then fill in the bottom. So here we go. First, lining the lips, going along the natural line of your lip. Okay, and then we're going to do the bottom. Now, I probably should have moisturized and like exfoliated my lips because they're a little bit chapped. I was outside today doing my workout. So I would do that. I would put some balm on or maybe exfoliate the next time I did this. And as I've gotten a little bit older, I've noticed that the lipstick kind of like starts feathering after a while if you choose the wrong one. Starts settling into those wrinkles around your lips. The best way to prevent that is by lining it like what I'm doing right now. Okay, so we got our line. Now we're just going to fill in. Again, this is like a really light and relaxed color. So you just want to use the very tip. Don't load the makeup brush up with like a ton of lipstick or else you're going to end up washing it out later and it's really not going to be any fun. Okay. And then if you wanted to look a little shinier, if you wanted like a little bit of a glossy look, you can always add some balm over your lipstick. sorry, my number one favorite balm is this Hempz Lips. And living in Colorado, it's really, really dry. So this almost has the consistency of like petroleum jelly. And maybe just take a little bit of this and just dab on for a little bit of a shiny look. Beautiful. All right, now final step. Again, this is totally optional, but I do like to put a little bit of setting powder on my face, especially if I'm going to be doing something all day. I'm not going to have a chance to refresh my makeup. I'll use this. This is from Ciate, I think is how you say it, C-I-A-T-E. And it's just a really light translucent powder. And I take my big fluffy brush, you remember back from the beginning. This one is from Origins, and I've had it probably for 10 or 12 years. It's an amazing brush. If you shampoo your brushes with some frequency, they'll last forever. So I just grab a touch on here onto the big brush and then set aside the powder container itself, and I'm just going to use the lid. And I'll stipple this into the lid, right? And make sure that it's evenly, oh see, now it's not just in one spot on the brush, it's evenly distributed throughout the brush. Okay, and then starting from the middle, we're just going to work our way out just like we did with our foundation. So this should not have any kind of color or pigment depositing. It just helps to set the makeup and make sure it has endurance for the entirety of our journey wherever we're off to. So, and it also shouldn't like mess up anything that you've done already. In fact, it should just help blend everything else in. So, kind of get down there in the crease of your nose. And if you need to refresh, do so, but this should be, again, everything is a real light touch. We're not glopping makeup on ourselves because we're older ladies and we don't have the skin texture for that. We got to be judicious. All right, very good. So I'm probably gonna put on different clothes in order to take the photograph of this, but we did a really careful eyebrow. We did a conservative eye. Again, you could stop at any point in that process if you wanted to be a little bit lighter. And then just like a nude lip here, really, really pretty relaxed makeup look. And if you get this practiced, it should only take you maybe 5 or 10 minutes. This demonstration took me much longer, but I don't really spend that much time on my makeup in the mornings, even if I'm doing something special, because I've practiced it a lot. So I'll take some photographs of this and post it up on Facebook, YouTube, and all that. I don't have like a channel or anything wonderful yet, so, you know, follow, subscribe, like, I don't know. This has just been fast, easy makeup for busy ladies. So thank you. We'll see you soon.